talking about Dangote listing 10% of refinery shares on Nigerian stock market for every Nigerians, either you're in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, to buy. This has been a long-awaited news or welcome development by many stockbroking investors in Nigeria and outside the shore of this country. This is according to the African richest man, Aliko Dangote, who announced that partially listing of his $20 billion refinery and 650,000 crude oil barrel per day refinery is to have a new change in his investment round. The initiative, according to him, will enable citizens to purchase shares and gain ownership in the Dangote Refinery, which will also potentially increase local investment and economic participation. And according to Aliko Dangote, the chairman of Dangote Group, he said something very, very instructive. He said, we don't want to keep more than 65 to 70% of Dangote Refinery to himself or to his management. Rather, he wants to give out part of that 100% to investors. Honorable Kasumu, a very good day to have you on the show so that you can help us to dissect this latest development from Dangote.
Thank you for having me. It's not a surprise for us.
Can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you here.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes. Dangote have done it before, and he is going to repeat it. When Dangote said that he is going to build a cement factory of 5 million metric ton, nobody believed him. Because at that time, we didn't even have more than 2 million metric ton. Today, Obajana has over 80 million metric ton as a single factory. So it is not surprise when he says he's going to do the refinery that it has no similar to it in the whole world for 650 million barrels in a single trade. And he did it. It is now working. He promised to increase it to 700,000 barrels per day before the end of this year, and we believe him. So for offering 10% to us is a welcome development in the sense that it will give opportunity for me and you to be a shareholder of this Dangote Refinery. Remember, not only that he promised to increase the capacity to 700,000 barrels per day, but he promised to double it to 1.4 million barrels per day. That is bigger than any other refinery in the world. Because currently, Reliance Refinery in India has 1.3 million barrels per day. But he wants to increase his own not only to 700,000 barrels per day, but to double it, meaning that he's going to have 1.4 million barrels per day. So in order to continue the expansion, he wants to sell part of it. And it's a welcome development for the market, it's a welcome development for the Nigeria, and it's a welcome development for the emerging market. Because for us to have such industry listed in us is a great thing that ever happened in the history of the Nigerian stock exchange.
As I earlier pointed out in my introduction, I said this is a long-awaited, development for many stockbrokers, investors like you, and many across the world. Because first and foremost, everybody was waiting for NNPC to come, but NNPC are still lagging behind. But Dangote have made plans now that in the next 1 year is coming. But for you, how do you see is coming, shaping, reshaping, rearranging, pushing into Nigerian stock market? What do you think will happen to the market itself and investors at large?
Well, for our market, it's not a surprise because Aramco of Saudi Arabia, having listed in the Saudi Arabian market exchange, single company is bigger than the entire capital market exchange in London. And by being listing in Saudi Arabia, now Saudi Arabia is number 2 in terms of capitalization globally. So listing the Dangote Refinery in the Nigerian exchange, it will make us to compete to that of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Because today, as I'm talking to you, Johannesburg Stock Exchange is over 1 trillion market capitalization. Well, our own is talking of less than 70,000 70 billion market capitalization. So getting such a refinery of Dangote, getting listed, and don't forget that he promised to list fertilizer, Dangote fertilizer. And we believe that not only this one, others exchange like that of the Bua refinery will be listed. It's just a matter of time. We are expecting stock like Mangal cement industry to be listed. We see that the Nigerian exchange will be moving in 100 billions of dollars in terms of exchange. Well, in terms of market capitalization, we'll be talking between 200 to 300 trillion capitalization, which is good for the economy, and it will attract more of the emerging investors coming into the Nigerian exchange market. And it will stand a hopes for the entire Africa, or West Africa, at least in particular.
Exactly. But Mr. Kasumu, what do you make of this statement that for him, as the president of Dangote Group, that they are ready, because their business concept is changing, that they are ready to keep between 65 to 70% of their refinery share to themselves, and they are ready to give out the rest to investors across the world. What do you make of this statement?
Well, the making of this statement is giving us hope that there is more room to participate. Having decided to offer 10%, if the need arises, he can do more. Don't forget that the Dangote cement today has about 80% controlled by him, 20% over in the market, including the sovereign fund of South Africa and the sovereign fund of Qatar and Emirates. They all participated in the Dangote cement. So if he is willing and to open the refinery, we are expecting other emerging market, especially from the Middle East, to pump their money into the Nigerian market, and it's good for his growing, because that is the easier way to have more fun to expand. Don't forget that even this recently, he signed agreement with Ethiopia to build a petrochemical industry of 2.5 billion. And all this, wherever he expanded, is going to add to the value of what he listed in the Nigerian exchange. Because today, the Dangote cement is not Dangote cement of Nigeria, it's Dangote cement Africa. All his factory in Cote d'Ivoire, in Senegal, in Cameroon, name them, Ghana, and what have you, they are all add together, listed and Dangote cement in Nigeria. So for having that Dangote refinery, expanding this and releasing up to 20 to 30% to the entire market is a welcome development. And this is a lesson for the Nigerian entrepreneurs that if you want a business to go beyond your life, you must be listed and open up for others. Because we have today cannot remember any of the company owned by Leta Biola. The same thing with business like Okada, Chanchangi Airline, they're all gone. So we don't want the business to go with the going of the entrepreneurs. We want it to go beyond their life so that for their children will have something to be proud of their inheritance.
Exactly. Now, talking about Dangote of Africa, because I'm hearing from you, and though I read it somewhere else, where it is now becoming so globally renowned, known that it is not just Dangote of Nigeria anymore, but Dangote of Africa, particularly of its diversification across manufacturing, consuming, and property business across Africa and beyond. But what do you make of his recent $4 billion signing that he just had with the Middle East, some company with the Middle East, to also put in the expansion of his refinery to have about 1.4 million barrels per day? What do you make of that signing of over $4 billion agreement?
Well, it is an opportunity. A lot of the Middle East want to come to Nigeria and generally Africa. But they want to rely with the African who understand the African and know how to do the business in Africa. And Dangote is a testimony. Anybody that decided to invest in Dangote, he knows he is dealing with an African who understands the African and have no fear whatsoever. Look at it. Today, we are net exporter of cement. And he just started refinery. In less than 1 year, we are exporting refinery across the world. So what it means that he understands the trend and he know how to go over through the trend and to prove beyond reasonable that what others can do, we can do better.
Interesting. But going forward into the discussion, because I know many of your colleagues there at the Nigerian stock market complex in Marina in Lagos will be so happy with this good news. But for the investors coming, how can we ensure that we balance both local investors and foreign investors that will be coming to pick this 10% of Dangote partial listing on NGX? Because there could be perpetual fear that this 10% could just go solely to foreign investors and they will shade away the local investors. But how can we balance it?
Well, you see, we are already balancing it. If you remember, by 2015, the foreign investors control up to 51% of the market. Today, as I'm talking to you, they did not control up to 20%. One of it is the pension fund. Today, pension fund, they are talking between 26 to 30 trillion. And they are willing to invest more into the capital market rather than the security, the bond or the federal government security. Because most of the PF that have done very well are those who invest more into the capital market. So this ensures that the local investors are willing and ready to invest more into the opportunity wherever it is available. Remember in 2022, during the COVID, Dangote cement is trading just about 100 naira. Today, as I'm talking to you, is trading 640, 650. So in less than 3 years, you have moved from 100 to 650. So it shows you confidence in the local investors. And the local investors, instead of buying houses abroad or stacking your dollar abroad, come and invest in the Nigerian market, which is ahead of the inflation, ahead of the valuation. If you remember, even during the foreign exchange devaluation, Dangote Cement did not declare any loss. They even pay good dividend because they did not borrow from the foreign. They borrow from the local investors, which has zero effect with the devaluation. And today, anybody invested in Dangote Cement will stand to be better off. And what does that mean? It means that not only better off, the entire capital market is making it a welcome developer for even you and me. As I'm talking to you, all share index gain 50%. But individual stocks, some of them, they gain over 300%. Lafarge was trading 30 naira at the beginning of the year. As of today, I'm talking to you, is trading at 152. From 30 naira to 152, that is 500%. Tell me, where will you invest to gain that? There is no such opportunity outside the capital market. So the local investor is a welcome development and it's assured that this is the market that hedges you against inflation, hedges you against devaluation, and you can invest quietly. If I have shares, nobody knows except my broker. And this is one of the secrets of the investment of the capital market. And anytime, any day you do your valuation, and at any given time, if you want to sell your shares, we are trading into billions. So if you need money, ask your broker, come to the market, and within no time, you will get your money back. Unlike the properties. Many people wanted to sell property, they cannot even get the money because the buyers keep on pricing, the agent top their own prices, making the transaction to be more difficult, unlike in the capital market. So it's an assured way for the local investors to say that this is the way that I make money. And don't forget that the capital market is free for all. Whether you are a civil servant, whether you are a politician, whether you are a business, you are all allowed to invest in the capital market. No restriction. And the more you invest, the better you are.
Exactly. I really love the advocacy you are giving to many of our viewers about the significance of the capital market. I've been doing this on the show. I just hope that what you have said so far will also sink into the heart of our viewers and they will all rush to the Nigerian capital market and invest their money. Particularly with this kind of opportunity that Dangote is bringing to us. Imagine an 100 naira unit size of a share that has now grown to 600 naira. That's very, very magnificent and it's very profitable. Honorable Kasumu, I really appreciate you on that regard. But before I let you go, let's look at the competitor of Dangote. Bua Food is running and is giving Dangote run for his money. on what has happened so far. Just brief us on the happening around Bua Food and their expansion, as well as how their share is really making headway on the Nigerian stock market. Let's have your view on that, sir.
Well, my view is that we need competitions. When Airtel and MTN was in Nigeria, they said they cannot do per second. By the time the Glo do per second, they all change. And today we are enjoying the three of them. So what it is that is even for the interest of Dangote to have a competitors. Go and see the Boas men are at Ubala, they are at Sokotos men. They transform Sokotos men, CCN, from 500,000 metric ton to 8 million metric ton, plus Ubala. They are talking of over 50 million metric ton. That is by the Boa, compared to Dangote, who was over 31. So it's good for the competition. Even when I see that of the Boa refinery coming, it's just good to have a balancing, but they cannot match. You are talking of 700,000 barrels per day compared to 200. You can see that is 1/3. And he is moving to 1.4. So when you take 1.4 to 200,000, you can see that is not up to even 20% of that. But however, it gives chance and room for others to play for. I can assure you, Dangote's food is coming. He wants to merge Dangote rice, Dangote sugar, Nascon into Dangote food. He wanted to do it, but because of one reason or the other, he delayed it. But it's a matter of time. And all this will come, and we need competitions, because the competition gives the alternative for the investors and give choice for the buyer. And it also adds to the value of the entire Nigerian capital market. Today, if you take Boa and Dangote Cement, the two entities control more than 25% of the market capitalization. Whoever thinks that another can do that in the market that predominantly dominated by the South? So it is an eye-opener for every other section of the Nigeria that if you want to make it, the market give you the opportunity, and it is for all.
Interesting. I won't forget to mention, the moment you mentioned the southern part of the country also dominating that capital market, I quickly recall that Flour Mill Nigeria is one giving Dangote and Boa Food the run for their money. And thank you for that advocacy, and thank you for that insight. But before I let you go, we have seen a consecutive 4 days bullish on the Nigerian stock market. The NGS is like a bullish town now. What do you have to say about that?
Well, this is not unexpected. First, the economic policy of this government promotes that. Secondly, the stability of the foreign exchange promotes that. Thirdly, it gives confidence for the foreign investors to come into our market. And the results so far declared by most of the company for the third quarter ended March, it triggered this movement. Lafarge was trading at 135 Naira yesterday. The moment they declared their third quarter result, from earning per share of 2 Naira to earning per share of 13 Naira, today as I'm talking to you, Lafarge, which we call WAPCO, is trading at 152 Naira. And that shows the response of the market to the result. And more results are coming, because so far we have got just less than 10% of the quoted company result. So more results are coming. We are expecting Boas men, we are expecting Dangote's men, we are expecting Honeyplan, we are expecting many companies to come with their result, including the banks. And most of them, we are hoping that the result will show better, because the other have demonstrated this, especially with the stability of the exchange rate, no exchange loss, and what we are seeing, the market absorb the cost, and therefore you see high revenue, high profit.
Interesting. Honorable Kasumu, I'm tempted, like Oliver Twist. I won't let you go without asking you this question. Fidelity Bank has been so dominant on the top volume. Although other banks are coming, Access, GT, we see them rubbing shoulder here and there. But Fidelity Bank has been so consistent on the top volume. What is your view around that?
You see, the Fidelity Bank, you look at it as it is today. It's the only child left for the Southeast. And they don't play with it. I can tell you, you hardly get any serious investor from the Southeast without investing heavily in Fidelity Bank, because they see it at their own. And this, there is nothing wrong. The Fidelity Bank is demonstrating that they can match with any other top 5 in terms of dividend, in terms of return. And this promising gives confidence. Not only that, today, you don't want to know who is the MD of Fidelity Bank because we have seen changes of MD, but Fidelity never looked down. So it is a promising bank that shows beyond the reasonable doubt that you can trust them, you can rely on them, and that is why you see more volume is coming. But I can tell you that Fidelity will even do better. It's not like what Wema Bank is doing. If you remember, Wema Bank is a Kobo stock. Today, it's also matching with Fidelity Bank. So the Southwest is coming stronger and stronger. And what we are telling you, all these regional banks, the region where they came from, trust more on them than any other person. But what they have demonstrated give confidence for the general investors that me and you, we can invest without looking at where they came from.
Exactly. Honorable Kasumu, this is a very good outing from you, talking about Nigerian stock market, particularly the long-awaited Dangote shares of his stock to Nigerians. And it has come. In the next few days, we'll be hoping that the bid will be open for Nigerians, for investors to take a look at it and invest their money. But I need to appreciate you so much for this intelligent submission from you on the issue. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, sir. So enjoy the rest of your day over there in Lagos. I've been speaking with Honorable Kasumu Garba Kurfi. You happen to be an stock investor analyst, not just an investor, and he's a participant who happen to be the MD of APT Securities Ltd over there in Lagos. And for him, it's a welcome development that Dangote is letting out 10%. And he went back to memory lane in 2020 when Dangote let out about 20% of Dangote sugar, 20% of Dangote cement, and Dangote food also leaving out about 15% to Nigerians to invest. And for the Dangote Refinery, it is not a new thing, but it is a welcome development by all. We just hope that as it stands, you and I can have that money to go and buy Dangote shares going forward. And as he said, in the next 1 year, so begin to gather your money, begin to prepare your money before 2027 so that you can go and buy Dangote Refinery shares and be part of the ownership of Dangote Refinery.